Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is Lesson 3. Today we're going to go over the difference between cooperate and collaborate. So cooperate versus collaborate, the different uses. This is one that sometimes comes up in class. Not so much going over cooperate, because cooperate is very, very common, very common word. And most students kind of understand it. The problem is when we come across collaborate, it's difficult for them to see the difference. So collaborate is a little bit more formal word. You'll come across it a little less. Cooperate is very common. You go across it all the time. But you can understand. I know I teach a lot of Chinese students, and I know the translation in Chinese is almost the same. So they can hardly see a difference between these two. And this is one, though, even when you look at the definition in English, I could even see some native speakers might have a slight problem with this. And there might be some times where it could overlap, where you could use either cooperate or collaborate. So I'm going to try to distinguish it as much as I can. Again, first, let's just look at the basic definition. Cooperate means to work together on a shared project. To do what somebody has requested of you, especially by providing information, or to not obstruct or interfere with. The first definition is the one I really want to look at first, though. To work together on a shared project. If you look at the general definition of collaborate, to work with somebody else for a special purpose, that does sound very similar. So you could understand how there could be some confusion. All right, now let's try to get into see where we can find some distinctions about how you would use one more than the other. All right, let's look at the first example here for cooperate. You could say those two companies cooperated on a business venture. So you should probably think of cooperate as more like you're going along with someone. You are helping them, just to try to get something done. I think of collaborate is more like a more enthusiastic or a more excited team of people or groups that's more excited about their job, and it tends to be more creative too. So looking at the first example again, if you said those two companies cooperate on a business venture, this is one of the cases where you could have possibly said those two companies collaborated on a business venture. So there is some overlapping. But I still think there's a little bit of a different feel to it. If you say two companies cooperated on a business venture, now they may be working together, it may be mutually beneficial, maybe it's good for both sides. And maybe they're working together because, maybe one company has something the other company doesn't have. Maybe they have some special skill sets, or maybe they have some resources that the other company doesn't have. So it does work out better. But there's still a little bit of a feeling, sometimes we say words have connotations. There's still a little bit of a feeling that, maybe those companies kind of wish they didn't have to work with the other company. Maybe they wish that they could have done it all on their own. They could get more profit. But in this case, they figure it's just better, it's easier, it makes business sense to work together. So that's more like cooperate. If it's collaborate, it sounds like they're both exciting and trying to reach the end. All right. Okay. Before we go on, let's finish with cooperate first. So the second example of cooperate is their company is cooperating with the police on the investigation of one of its employees. All right, now this is an example where you would just use cooperate and not use collaborate. This goes more to where I was showing you with the definition to provide information, to not obstruct or interfere with. Maybe your company likes the ex-employee or the employee that's under investigation. Maybe they don't really want to help the police, but they don't want to get in trouble. They want to do everything that's legal, so they will cooperate with whatever the police wants. So it's not really, it may not have enthusiasm about it. They may not be happy about it, but they're doing it anyway. They're going along. They're not going to obstruct. They're not going to block. They're not going to make it difficult for the police. They're not trying to interfere. So again, this is a case where only cooperate would be used. So the company is cooperating with the police or cooperating with authorities. That's a clear distinction between the two. All right, here's another example, number 3. The minority party, I'm talking about politics now, the minority party doesn't want to cooperate with the majority parties, or the majority, I should have been majority party, on its bills. What do they mean like this? Like in this case in the U.S. now, right now, you have Democrats and Republicans, and Democrats are the minority right now. So maybe if they don't want to cooperate, maybe they don't want things to pass. But this happens both ways. Republicans might do this to Democrats when the Democrats are the majority party. So it's actually pretty common behavior. And they don't want to go along with it. This, again, gets into the idea of kind of trying to at least partially obstruct, partially block. They don't want the other side to be successful. So this is another case where cooperate is really more, should be used, not collaborate. All right, let's look at collaborate. Collaborate means to work with somebody else for a special purpose. To collaborate is often used with two people or groups that work together enthusiastically on a creative project or to discover something important. All right. An example I hear a lot is maybe two songwriters working on a particular song. And I remember the example, like in the 1980s, of Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson collaborated on several songs in the 1980s. Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, I think Michael Jackson actually kind of admired the Beatles. They were before him, and I think he liked the idea of working with Paul McCartney. It's possible that either one of these songwriters could have wrote a similar song without the other. Both of them were talented. But again, they kind of like the idea of collaborating, and they're kind of working off of each other's fame or popularity. So they collaborated on a song, on I think 3 songs actually, if I remember correctly. All right, or here we could say those two scientists are trying to find a cure for cancer. So in this case, you could say those two scientists are collaborating together to find a cure for cancer. Again, this would be to discover something. And, maybe the end goal is really more important here. They're kind of enthusiastic. They would love to be able to be the ones to find a cure and to become famous. All right, and before I finish up, I just want to note that there is one negative use of collaborate too, usually like as a traitor. So I gave this example. He was accused of collaborating with a terrorist group. So that's one that's more just with collaborate, and it's one special sort of negative meaning and use that collaborate has that, that's different than when you're looking at the difference between collaborate and cooperate. All right, and I just wanted to note this other point, to maybe one last point to try to help you clearly see the difference. It is also possible to technically be collaborating, but not cooperating with each other at the same time. Maybe the boss chose 2 people to collaborate on a project, to try to use their creative talents to finish a project or come up with a project. But maybe these 2 coworkers, maybe they don't know. Maybe the boss didn't realize that maybe they have some personal issues between them, and maybe each one is not really enthusiastically helping the other one. And then we could say that they are not really cooperating. All right, well, I hope that helps you to distinguish and get a better feel of how to use these 2 words. So, so the difference between cooperate and collaborate. So again, cooperate is more like going along with to try to get it done, and collaborate really has the feeling of trying to work together as more like a real team, and like I said, has more enthusiasm to it. Okay, thank you very much.